We're addressing a program that temporarily brings people from low-wage countries to replace Canadians and drive down the wages of our people. The time has come for decisive action to stop the Liberals from using our immigration system to pad the pockets of corporate elites and other insiders at the expense of Canadian jobs. Again, the principle is very simple. Canadian jobs for Canadian workers. Canada first, Canada always. That's why Conservatives are calling on the Carney government to permanently scrap the temporary foreign worker program and to stop issuing visas for any new temporary foreign workers coming into the country.
That is Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre yesterday trying to put forth yet another policy here that would, as he said, get rid of the whole temporary foreign workers program. He said it's simple. I guess my question is it overly simple? Because I've heard a lot of pushback already from business owners who say this program is, for many of them, the difference between life and death in terms of they have a business or they don't. Denis Hamel is a strategic advisor at the Conseil de patronat Quebec. He's on the line. Christina Santini is Director of National Affairs at the CFIB, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. Let me start with you, Denis, as far as Quebec is concerned here, and I'm guessing it's the same everywhere. I want your reaction to what you just heard from Pierre Poilievre.
Well, I guess it's very disappointing for all Canadians because it perpetuates the myth that temporary foreign workers steal jobs and contribute to lowering the wages offered to Canadian workers. This is far from reality. Temporary foreign workers occupy jobs that otherwise would be vacant, depriving thousands of Canadians of the goods and services they need.
You know, I heard Pierre Poilievre, maybe this was Michel Rempel earlier in the day, talking about the fact that just that, this takes away jobs from Canadians when we keep hearing from the other side that these jobs, Canadians simply don't want to take these jobs to begin with, right? So I'm trying to understand how do you basically square that circle? So Christina, as far as the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses is concerned, what do you think? Is this fair? Is this necessary? Or is this sort of a wrong focus?
It's the wrong focus. What we really need is policies that reflect local labor market needs and the needs of specific sectors and occupations. Just because a specific census metropolitan area has an unemployment of 7% doesn't mean that the people that are available and currently looking for work can fill any occupation that is available or that they're necessarily interested in the position that's being made on offer. So we need to ensure that, yes, the TFWP is designed to ensure that you are seeking to hire foreign workers only when local Canadians have not applied for the job, have not demonstrated an interest, aren't available. But that does still need to remain an option. Many employers sincerely cannot find local labor to address their labor needs. Again, this program also serves rural communities that do not have huge labor pools. They serve communities that may be close to large metropolitan areas. Let's say Oka, which isn't far from Montreal, but has very different labor market realities than Montreal itself.
So the argument that was made, which is, and I think they cited someplace, I think there's a Canadian Tire somewhere out west that pays $42 an hour. That's what their posted hourly wage is. And the argument that, young Canadians, because that's primarily who we're looking at here, are not interested in taking those jobs. That doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. So, Denis, with respect to, are they unable, are stores like these, businesses like these, really unable to find local people who would work for that kind of money?
It's a fact. I met many employers in the last weeks. As you know, both governments announced reductions in the immigration policies, and they tell me they offer jobs, high wages, and Canadians are not interested. Sometimes because it's a question of long hours, night shifts, and mostly because the skills needed are not present among the people.
Hold on. Let me stop you. Let me stop you for one second, because that's the part I also don't understand. When you talk about skills, how much skill do you need to work, at a McDonald's, for example, or to work at a Canadian Tire to just do sales? They train you for these jobs. You don't need a university degree to do this.
You don't, but suppose you have a university degree or a CEGEP degree. Are you interested in working long hours in a food processing plant? Even when the unemployment rate is very high, employers cannot find the people. And before an employer, I should add that most employers, not to say all employers, they would rather hire Canadians. It's less costly, it's easier, there's no adaptation required for workers. But if you cannot fill the job, you then have to demonstrate to the federal and the provincial government that you've done efforts to hire Canadians, but they're not there. So then it's the last option to go abroad to find the workers you need.
I would ask Christina as well, this idea that, you mentioned, for example, maybe in a rural area, they're offering to pay, $30 or $40 to go work at a fast food place. That's all well and good if you can't find someone there. But I guess someone from, halfway around the country or even, 2 hours away is not going to be interested in that job. Is that part of the rationale here?
So the positions that are being posted, they're being often posted online. One of the requirements is that they actually be posted on Job Bank. They're not seeing applicants from anywhere in Canada, not just their local community. It's not like they're only putting in a help wanted sign in their remote restaurant or in their little motel. So the reality is, no, they're not seeing interest from Canada or Canadians that are qualified for that job. And on the skills side, many of the examples that have been cited online publicly have been positions for managers or shift supervisors. You do still need to know or human resource management, you need to know compliance regulations, etc. There could be reasons why they're looking for individuals with a bit more experience, but the way it's being characterized is that, they're just looking for cashiers or they're just looking for someone that's going to make sandwiches. So there needs to be caution exercised with some of the examples out there that are saying, you have these huge wages to make sandwiches. No, you have those huge wages to manage a team of 10 people with rotating shifts. Make sure you're compliant with public health and safety rules. Make sure you've been able to put in the order and maintain the appropriate stocks. It's not a simple job, and there might be past experience that is being sought that Canadians don't have, or that the Canadians that have applied don't have. But yes, those entry-level jobs, that's a different story, and Canadians aren't applying to those jobs for the salaries that are on offer because those jobs probably aren't the ones that are being posted at $55,000 an hour.
Yeah, I will point out, by the way, people have brought up, and I keep hearing Tim Hortons mentioned it a lot. I think Pierre Poilievre actually mentioned it yesterday when he talked about doing away with the program. They've issued a statement and said less than 5%, this is Tim Hortons now, less than 5% of its workforce is hired through the Temporary Foreign Workers Program. They are hired mostly in small towns and communities, as you just said, where local candidates are not available. And they also go on to say that temporary foreign workers are not a, quote, cheaper option. What does that mean?
Well, according to the Temporary Foreign Worker Program, you cannot hire a temporary foreign worker at a wage less that you would give a Canadian. Even sometimes, if your company is unionized, you have to be in line with the collective agreement, and if not, you have to pay the medium wage of the job of the sector. So sometimes you have to pay your foreign workers more, the Canadian, because of this situation. Mm-hmm. So the employer doesn't have the choice in the wage he is giving. He has to respect the equilibrium in the labor market.
So I would just ask, and I got to wrap up here, either one of you or both of you, with respect to, the program I think has been around since the 1970s, right? And some might say, and I think I heard yesterday from someone at the CFIB suggest, maybe we need some tweaks, but we certainly do not need to eliminate the program entirely. So Christina, what can be tweaked here, do you think?
So I think we need to make sure that we do have those strong assessments at the front end, as was the local labor recruitment undertaken and done. But we need to allow the employers, regardless of where they are, to make that case. So yes, we expect a stronger case, but make that case. Allow them to make that case, because right now there are policies in place that bar certain employers from even being able to demonstrate that because of the occupational requirements, the fact that it's night and evening shifts and that the work is grueling, which ESDC has done evaluations on and has findings that Canadians are less willing to undertake these types of jobs. Allow them to at least put forward their case for a request, because what we did not talk about in this interview, which is a bit sad, is how foreign workers actually complement Canadian workers. We know from many of our members that if they lose their chefs that come from Mexico that are trained in culinary schools there, they're going to lose or have to close down their restaurant, and that means that another 15 employees will have to go. Those are Canadian employees. So that's just some example of we can't lose sight of the fact that sometimes we've built symbiotic relationship where these foreign workers are coming in and enabling Canadians to be employed.
Okay, I have
and without them,
yeah, they would lose their jobs too. I get that part. I hadn't thought about that. Denis, just as a final word here, we know that in Quebec we've heard, employers telling us they need even more temporary foreign workers. The government, of course, is trying to get less. But by the way, there's a carve out here, right, in the agricultural sector. That would not apply necessarily. But to people you talk to in business in Quebec, small businesses, they keep asking for more of these temporary foreign workers, do they not?
In fact, exactly, because that's what the labor market is needed. We have some expansion programs. We have to invest in our businesses. We have to be more competitive. And businesses, to operate their businesses, employers need predictability. What we've experienced in the last year is more than a yo-yo. You cut, and then you add, and then you cut. This harms businesses more than the threat of tariffs by the U.S. administration. So I think the bottom line, immigration policies are too important to be left in the sole hands of politicians. It has to be all the stakeholders to get together and determine what kind of program is better for businesses and for people and the future of Canadian business.
We will leave it at that. I thank you both, Denis Hamel, Christina, Santini. Thank you. Appreciate the time this afternoon.